questions.
Very good. Okay.
Why is recording so?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, His Excellency, Minister of Research and Higher Education from Egypt, presidents of different companies, directors of research centers, colleagues and friends, thank you for coming today for this event. I'm going to share the screen now for cordially inviting you to the official launch of the Sيماجو ranking of the MENA research centers. This is the first edition, the first of a series we hope to be developed in the future. And now we have the opportunity to talk about this very important initiative. In order to do that, we developed a very interesting panel of speakers. They are invited to talk about the overall situation, but also to describe the effort we made regarding the launching of this ranking. I'm going to show you the program for today. I'm going to say that this session is being recorded and will be distributed, so everyone can check after the presentation this session, and we can share it with other people. Sorry, I am trying to launch the. Oh yeah. Here is the program of the event, and as I mentioned, we invited a series of wonderful speakers for talking about this initiative. And not only we are going to make a formal presentation of the ranking, but also we are going to ask you for commenting or suggesting any idea, any proposal you want to share with us, because it's important to know that this is an initiative that is part of the community. So you, as members of the community, are cordially invited to join us at the end of the event using the Q&A option at the system, at the Zoom system, in order we can know about your comments and suggestions about the meeting. Okay, in order to start, I'm going to invite to His Excellency the Professor Dr. Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, that is Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research here in Egypt, in order to give us the kickoff speech of this event. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Young Sung Chi, Chairman of the Elsevier, and Dr. Mubarak Ali Magzoub, Secretary General of the Federation of the Arab Scientific Research Council, and Dr. Felix Moyo and Andrew, the Sيماجو founder, Dr. Azdro Ajuriu, the Scientific Senior Advisor of Sيماجو Lab, and Director Presidents and Representatives of Research Centers in the MENA regions. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me at the beginning to thank you all for this, joining us in this important event. I'll be delighted to join you. I think the MENA region and Egypt in particular are going through some very positive development when it comes to creating and supporting research excellence in the whole region. Several R&D policies issued and implemented in the last decades are beginning to demonstrate their ROI in the future of science and innovation. And the good results are exhibited through a better visibility of the research output globally. Increased internationalization and collaboration and tangible outcome on society and intellectual property development. To illustrate this, let me share some high-level indications related to my country, Egypt. The number of Egyptian research publications indexed in Scopus has grown from around 13.5% in the period 2010 to 2021, from 9,600 to over 38,800. The quality of research, as well as measured by the field-weighted citation impact, went from 0.81 in 2010 to 1.47 in 2021. And most importantly, the international collaboration between research centers and universities grew from 37.3% to 56.6% in the same period. While these results are often primarily attributed to universities and research centers, highlighted, for instance, by higher rank in various international university ranking leagues, research centers remain significantly underexposed while playing an equally important role in achieving national objectives in different countries, not just in Egypt or Africa or the MENA region, but all over the world. The Egyptian and the MENA region government's research priorities all reflect the importance of research centers in their vision and strategy. In addition, the scientific advances required to respond to the societal challenges, especially the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the United Nations, involved in increased cooperation among different local actors, but also with international partners in the region with shared problem and similar objectives. Committing all the research capabilities could enable research centers to be globally known as a reference for scientific research, technical developments, as well as socio-economic growth. During the last 5 years, we have been working hard to revisit and governing legislations of science and technology in Egypt. In addition, to build capacities of researchers in order to direct their perception into innovation and socio-economic impact of their scientific outputs, in order to create an enabling and healthy environment to foster science, technology, and innovation. It is the way to revive the national economic with value-added products based on scientific research. And I think what we have seen in the last couple of years, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, has proven greatly the importance of science and research in the field of humanity in general. In order to achieve this aim, the institutions need reliable, updated, relevant information about their performance using international standards. And the research in the region is diverse, ranging from fundamental aspects of basic science to the most complex technological development in all fields of knowledge. The proposed initiative, which we are proud to be part of it in Egypt with our partners from different sectors, this proposed initiative is designed to foster research excellence, drive innovation, and develop knowledge economy for great impact, while respecting the identity and individual objectives of each and every center involved, and allowing the pursuit of their long-term strategies and promoting at the same time the interdisciplinary and the transdisciplinary and the interinstitutional and international cooperation. Seimago Lab, a global leading editor of academic ranking in the cooperation with Elsevier, a leading information analytics company, and in partnership with the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Egypt, is launching this historic first ranking dedicated to research centers in the MENA region. A ranking of research centers in the MENA region is a model to create a healthy, competitive environment to boost the outcome of research conducted by the research centers for the benefit of societies. At this end, I need to thank you for your kind attention and not to forget to valorize the support of Dr. Mohammed El Asiyati from Elsevier for being always with us from the very first step of the idea, with his opinions, thoughts, and critical thinking to the day of launching of this important and historic ranking. It is also not to forget the support role of the EKB, our Egyptian Knowledge Bank, that avail all resources of Egyptian scientists and decision makers in order to foster scientific research in Egypt and facilitates putting out our strategy and our strategic plans for scientific research into execution and action. Without the AKB help, we wouldn't reach the good gathering of today's and to announce the first official ranking of research centers. I prefer to stop here to give you the opportunity to enjoy speeches of our eminent speakers and to eagerly follow the results of the research centers ranking in the MENA regions. And I thank you all for your attention and congratulations for all of us. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. It's a wonderful presentation, taking into account also that now we have over 200 different people attending the meeting. That is a great success, not only because of the number, but also because they are representing different institutions, different research centers, not only from the region, but also from other regions. Now I'm going to invite to Dr. Jong-Suk Chi, YS, the chairman of Elsevier, in order to provide us to basic ideas about the importance of research centers. Please, Dr. YS, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I would first like to thank Dr. Khaled for hosting us all in this virtual celebration. Even though I'm disappointed that we can't celebrate in person, I'm very relieved that we are still able to come together, and not just from MENA region, but truly from around the world. I hope you are all as excited as I am about Scimago rankings. There are already dozens of competing systems, but this new one breaks the mold by rating research centers rather than universities. Now, you may be wondering why the assessment with Scimago research rankings are so important. Because they're built on standardization, they help institutions become more aware of their competitive performance as they chart their development path. Such awareness encourages institutions to be more creative, ambitious, and to develop their top talent. They also help governments, funders, and even researchers understand what work is being done, who to support, and who to collaborate with. But above all, these measurements allow us to prioritize the values that are fundamental to research. After all, each system's criteria spotlights the areas that we think are critical to success. This raises a critical question. What is it that we should value in research centers, both now and into the future? Well, to better answer that question, I would first like to tell you a short story. I'm sure everyone here has heard of BioNTech, the German startup that developed the Pfizer vaccine. But you may not know the story of the company's founders, who are husband and wife duo of Dr. Ugur Şahin and Özlem Türeci. You may not know much about them in detail. Well, Dr. Şahin and Dr. Türeci are both Germans of Turkish descent and heritage, and they have been leading physicians for years. Medicine was deeply intertwined with their lives for a long time. I read that even just hours after their own wedding, they returned to their lab to continue their cutting-edge research. And the couple quickly rose to become top doctors in the field of cancer research, focusing on how the human immune system might be used to combat new diseases. They founded their own biotech company, BioNTech, with the hope of developing a vaccine for cancer using proprietary mRNA research. So they were already working at the forefront of vaccine development and were well prepared for COVID even before the pandemic began. when the first reports of mysterious new virus appeared in early 2020, they were not worried. After all, small virus outbreaks surfaced every year, but were usually controlled. But only after reading an article in The Lancet did Dr. Shaheen realize that this virus was an enormous threat. Spurred to action, Dr. Shaheen and Dr. Tereci worked to adapt their mRNA therapies from treating cancer to preventing COVID. And after countless hours where their staff worked around the clock, they developed a successful candidate. However, they realized that BioNTech alone was not equipped to deliver the huge amounts of supplies, tests, and trials all needed to produce enough vaccinations for the entire global population. So they formed a partnership with pharmaceutical giant Pfizer to manufacture, to test, and to distribute their vaccine. This partnership not only enabled BioNTech to develop a vaccine at a breakneck speed, but gave them the mechanisms to deliver billions of doses worldwide very rapidly and effectively. So you may be asking, why am I telling you the story of Dr. Shaheen, Dr. Tereci, BioNTech, and Pfizer? Well, it doesn't sound terribly related to our gathering, does it? Well, I believe their work shows how great research can help solve the world's biggest challenges. There were three key qualities of BioNTech's strategy that made their research so successful. First, discoverable research from across the world catalyzed innovation. Second, BioNTech adapted their expertise from cancer to COVID. And finally, they collaborated with specialized institutions to deliver their world-changing product. And just like BioNTech, the research institutions that embody these three principles, catalyzing innovation, adaptability, and collaboration, will help shape the future. Let's start by talking about how we catalyze innovation through research and discoverability. Remember how Dr. Shaheen realized that the danger of the coronavirus was serious when he read about this virus in Elsevier's Lancet journal. The article was the first to detail the clinical features of the patients with COVID in Wuhan, China. Most importantly, it revealed the asymptomatic human-to-human transmission that could fuel its rapid spread. An early exchange of this information direct from physicians at China's COVID response hospital provided Dr. Shaheen and Dr. Tereci the boost that they needed. It's remarkable that a single article triggered the first step toward COVID vaccine development. Increased connectivity allowed researchers in China halfway across the world to catalyze BioNTech's development of a successful vaccine. So as you can see, the robust discoverability of their research benefited everyone. Now, research in the MENA region is already on the right track towards having huge global influence. And as Dr. Khaled said about Egypt number, if I can just share with you, the 21st century alone, the research output in MENA has increased by 900%. The critical step is discoverable innovation, not just innovation, but discoverable innovation. MENA research centers need to be both inspired by the world's research landscape and be a catalyst for other breakthroughs. And 2022 will be the year of opportunity for MENA research centers to boost their global profile. Not only did we introduce new tools like Scimago rankings to encourage development, but region is also host to several prestigious international conferences. Already, the Dubai Expo attracted nearly 20 million people to its international showcase. And in the fall, thousands and thousands of stakeholders from around the world will converge in Sharm el-Sheikh to lay the groundwork for a new global climate policy. I really have no doubt that these events will give researchers in MENA the platform they need to catalyze innovation. And not just here, but in every corner of the globe. It's not enough to just help inspiring innovation during good times. Research centers must be able to pivot, adapt, and respond to new challenges. Over the past few years, we've learned that just when we think we are coming out of one global challenge, another difficulty can emerge. But this doesn't mean that our hard work will have gone to waste. If you remember, Dr. Shaheen, Dr. Turechi, and their team rapidly shifted, and their team rapidly moved their focus from cancer treatment to COVID vaccines. But how were they able to pivot so quickly? You know, it didn't happen overnight. BioNTech invested heavily in mRNA technology even before the pandemic and was exploring ways their vaccines could adapt to the future pandemics prior to the first report from China. Just like BioNTech, the best research centers prepare today to face tomorrow's problems and then boldly adapt in the most critical moments. Because just when you think one trend is dominating, another challenge is coming right along and overtaking. To see this future readiness in action, let's take a look at the progress of the scientific community. 20 years ago, scientific research was just adapting to the digital world. We had to build on previous innovation and be prepared to adapt and utilize new developments and technologies as they became available. Today, we use analytics tools and insights to make research better and more efficient and boost its global impact. The rankings are a perfect example of this. We harness the power of big data and built on our basic rankings to create more advanced and insightful models that respond to new trends and priorities. Just look at the SDG impact rankings, which measure the institution's progress for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and the Sيماجو research rankings that we're celebrating today. And always remember, just because a research center was established for a specific purpose does not mean they can't solve other problems. Like BioNTech, the best research centers pivot and adapt to take on new problems. This constant evolution is essential to tackling the world's biggest challenges. Of course, when adapting to new landscapes, it is essential to have the right partners. And that brings me to my final point, collaboration. As you recall, BioNTech was only able to manufacture and deliver their COVID vaccine because of their partnership with Pfizer. This partnership also didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a result of years of working together. In fact, they had already collaborated in 2018 to develop an mRNA-based flu vaccine. The mutual trust and respect that they gained from their 2018 partnership gave both companies the confidence needed to collaborate on such a crucial high-stakes project quickly. Well, in the world of scientific research, such partnerships are equally important to raising an institution's quality and influence. And as we have seen, the MENA region is no stranger to groundbreaking collaboration. Just look at the development of Egypt's own COVID-19 vaccines. Like many of the COVID's era's greatest victories, the development of COVIVax and Egivax was the work of dedicated partnership between leading research centers, innovative businesses, and forward-thinking government institutions. Such achievements will be extremely difficult without close collaboration between sectors. And on that note, I want to commend Egypt for its investment and rapid development of multiple COVID-19 immunizations, 2 of which have now begun clinical trials. I'm incredibly excited to see these results when these trials conclude, because these vaccines will help Egypt finally turn the page on the pandemic. Now, I also hope to see Egypt then share its vaccines with the world, truly demonstrating how science can operate outside of borders and politics. At the same time, it is critical to remember that collaboration isn't just a scientific question. It's also an opportunity and a potential for real economic growth and development. So all of us, from governments to individual institutions, scientists and researchers, should look to expand our collaborative horizons and make partnerships a priority in 2022. To close, if we focus on catalyzing innovation, adapting to tomorrow's challenges, and collaborating closely with a diverse set of partners, MENA's research institutions will be just as successful as Dr. Shaheen, Dr. Tarichi, and BioNTech. That is why these three principles are the basis of Scimago Research Center rankings. Of course, the MENA region is already leading the charge for social impact. I could talk for days about exciting work the MENA region is pioneering in medicine, in sustainable development, and scientific research. But you already know how impactful these projects will be. I am confident that MENA will continue to cement its position as a global leader in science and technology, and I'm eager to see all the research and innovation that will emerge from your talented institutions. So once again, thank you for having me at this event, and congratulations to Scimago and the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research on launching this groundbreaking ranking. I hope to see you all in person soon, but in the meantime, please continue to stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Dr. Guayas. It's a wonderful presentation, and I would like to say now that we are very happy having your company supporting Scimago during the last decades. It was very important for us, the cooperation of Scopus and Elsevier, and we hope to maintain this cooperation and even to enlarge. And also I would like to make emphasis on the two messages both the minister and you have done during the presentation, that the ranking is not a tool mainly for competition, but it's a tool mainly for cooperation. And please, we are almost 220 different representatives present in this event. Please consider the possibility of being partners, not being competitors. We are going to show you a ranking, but the ranking is mainly a tool for knowing each other's the capabilities you have. And please, I'm going to use the words from Minister. The Egyptian research centers are open to cooperate. Well, please consider all the region should be open to cooperate. And in order to do that, I think it will be very interesting the next presentation, but Dr. Mubarak Makhzoub, that is the Secretary General of the Federation of the Arab World Scientific Research Council. I think it's a place for starting with this kind of cooperation. Please, Dr. Mubarak, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. His Excellency Dr. Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Egypt. Dr. Youngsak, the Chairman of Elsevier. Dr. Felix D. Maya, Scimago founder, and Dr. Isidro, the Scientific Senior Advisor of Scimago Lab. Honorable participants, anywhere, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Actually, it gives me great pleasure to participate in the name of the Federation of Arab Scientific Research Councils, and for short FASRIC, in this very important event, which is ranking of research centers in the Arab countries. If you allow me first, I would like to introduce to you all our Federation of the Arab Scientific Research Councils. In short, FASRIC was established in Rabat in August 16, 1976. It is one of the Arab League organizations. Its membership includes all the Arab countries represented by their institutions that deal with scientific research. The aims of FASRIC is strengthening cooperation and coordination between Arab research councils, academies, and institutions of scientific research, focusing attention to scientific research in all fields, especially that relates to sustainable development plans in the Arab countries, spreading scientific culture in Arab countries, and promote the movement of organization and standardization of scientific terminology. Lastly, creating the appropriate atmosphere for scientists and scientific researchers in the Arab countries and working to benefit from the immigrant Arab expertise. Here we have the most important achievements of the FASRIC to fulfill its goals. First, the lectures and publications. We have many of these. And then we have 10 awards, scientific awards for excellent researchers. We have 18 specialized scientific research associations, and this is the main tool actually for fulfilling our objectives. Then lastly, we have the knowledge transfer, which is a new event in our work in helping other countries. Regarding lectures and publications, we with other partners participated in the Arab Strategy for Scientific and Technological Research and Innovation, and that was in 2017. We followed this by the Arab Strategy of Scientific Research in Social, Cultural, and Economic fields, and this was in 2019. Arab Journal of Sciences, Technology, and Innovation policies jointly with the Egyptian Academy of Scientific Research and Technology, and this was founded in 2020. Publication of many specialized books on the fields of scientific research and scientific associations, preparation and implementation of public lecture series in a number of scientific research fields such as ethics of scientific research, intellectual property, and so on. Here we have the front pages of our publications, some of our publications. The scientific specialized association, as I said, this is the main tool of our activities in research. We have developed or established specialized scientific associations, now numbering about 18. Each association includes in its membership the research centers of scientists with similar specializations. One of the objectives of this association is to encourage joint scientific research projects among Arab countries and linking the topics of scientific research with the development plans in the Arab countries. And lastly, the headquarters of each association is located at the center of excellence in the concerned Arab country. Here's the list of the 18. I just mentioned the name of the association and who it is. We have Association of Biotechnology in Egypt, of Remote Sensing in Libya, Association of Information Technology in Syria, Association of Materials and Nanotechnology in Egypt, Association of New and Renewable Energies, this is in Sudan, Physics Research in Algeria, Medicinal and Aromatic Plants in Morocco, Water Research in Sudan, as well Futuristic Studies in Sudan, Data and Palms in Saudi Arabia, Human Development in Jordan, Technical Incubators in Tunisia, Environmental Science in Yemen, Genetics in Bahrain, Oil and Gas Research in Kuwait, Observatories of Sciences in Egypt, Astronomy and Space Research in Egypt, and lastly, Cybersecurity in Qatar. FASRIC allocated an annual award. This is about the activity of scientific research, scientific awards. FASRIC allocated an annual award. It started in 2014, and this is named FASRIC Award for Scientific Research. The awards are 5 awards for young researchers, each worth $2,000, very humble, and 2 awards for innovation, each worth $5,000. Writing Books Award worth $5,000. FASRIC prize for translation from Arabic to English and vice versa, and this worth $5,000. The Best Scientific Association Award also worth about $5,000. The knowledge transfer initiative in the field of scientific research. This is our last activity actually, and it is a scientific platform which provide innovative and flexible solutions at an appropriate cost to digitize and manufacture Arabic Digital Scientific Council and publish it over the overnet. It relies heavily on open technology resources. This initiative, the items of this initiative is digital content, management system, e-learning systems, digital repository systems, digital library, biography of professors and researchers worldwide, management systems for e-journals and publishing houses. The initiative was launched actually with the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in the Republic of Yemen, and now the initiative is in progress with the Libyan Authority for Scientific Research. FASRIC will cover the financial costs of the initiative.
جميلة جدا وشفت عدد الحضور حاجة روعة الصراحة.
الحمد لله. عارف حضرتك 400 سجلوا.
The ranking, actually, what we are gathering here for the ranking for research centers in Arab countries.
دي نوايا الحلوة بتاعت حضرتك.
There's some interference, I don't know this. Ranking of research centers in Arab countries. This is our main topic for today, inshallah. We in FASRIC are pleased to express our happiness to participate in this event, Sيماجو Research Center ranking in Arab region. The event shows the importance of research centers to lead scientific research, innovation, and the knowledge economy. We emphasize in FASRIC the convergence of the objectives of this ranking of research centers with our objectives in FASRIC in many axes, including but not limited to the geographical region concerned with MENA is the same region where we work in the Arab countries. The ranking aims to measure the impact of research activities of the research centers, which this constitutes the main objective for establishing FASRIC. The ranking consists of three likely components, namely research, innovation, and society sustainable development. We in FASRIC support the scientific research in the Arab world by supporting research and innovation activities, especially scientific disciplines that contribute to sustainable development, enabling comparison and spreading the spirit of competition, and this is what we go, which is the main concern of FASRIC awards. So we meet so many times with the objectives of the ranking. We are honored actually to participate in this preparation and even in a small part by participating in the compilation of research centers in the Arab countries, indirect participation in the Dubai webinar, and communication with the members of FASRIC Council to urge the heads and directors of research centers to participate in this event. FASRIC expects that Sيماجو Research Center ranking in the MENA region will have a great impact on the progress and development of scientific research in the Arab countries. FASRIC looks forward to active participation with the key partners in this classification or in this ranking to consolidate this classification of this ranking through objectives and mechanism of FASRIC. So before I close, I would like to thank again Sيماجو, His Excellency the Minister of Higher Education in Egypt, Khalid Abdel and the others who contributed positively to this event. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mubarak. Of course, thank you for your words regarding the initiatives we are going to introduce today. And also congratulations for the work being done by the Federation, because I think it's really important the role you are playing in the region. And we hope, of course, that this cooperation will be in the future as we started today. Now it's time for the next speaker. The next speaker is the Professor Dr. Felix de Moya, that is the Sيماجو founder and chairman. And of course, we are here for talking about the Sيmاجو ranking. So it's time for knowing how the Sيmاجو ranking of research centers for the MENA region was built. Professor Felix, the floor is yours. Please open your micro. We cannot listen to you.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking the co-organizers of this event. It is a virtual event, and all the attendants for his participation and attend this presentation. My words here will be aimed at briefly explaining the methodology of the ranking of research centers in the MENA region and a summary of its results. Obviously, from now, the ranking is open to the interested, not only for the region, obviously for everyone in the world, especially the people that work in the research centers in other regions in the world. Some words first about the rankings. The most of the ranking in the world is oriented to the universities, as you know. This ranking is very different because the ranking is oriented to the research centers only, and then we have adapted our experience in the development of the global institution rankings to the research centers in the MENA region. The focus of the most of the ranking, not only the university, also the research and in different ways. For instance, some rankings use the research results to analyze the activity of the university, and another ranking try to analyze the academic performance of the institution, but the research activity is always present. For the research centers, we need one approach similar because the research is important, but not only the research, also is important the effect in the environment of this activity of the generation of knowledge. Our effort has always been oriented to the construction of the benchmarking instruments between the institutions that generate scientific knowledge, not only the universities. This experience, accumulated over the years, together with the contribution of our partners, has allowed us the approach this project with enough guarantees. For instance, one important difference between this ranking and others is the priority assigned to the Sustainable Development Goals. Obviously, we try to focus in the goals in the world, for instance, the Sustainable Development Goals, but also the local goals, using other kinds of indicators, as we will see in the next slides. This type of analysis is absent in most of the ranking, and nevertheless, for this project, it has been one of the key aspects. Now, some words about the research in the region. This slide is similar to one slide in the previous presentation. Represents the accelerated increase of the research output in the region, but we have analyzed the comparison between one region as MENA countries and other regions in the world, and the result is very clear. MENA region grows the scientific output most than other regions in the world in the period 1993-2020. This is an effect obviously related to the starting point, but I think the main conclusion is that the difference between the scientific output in the MENA regions and the other regions in the world was reduced in this period. And the conclusion is probably there is different reasons that we cannot analyze here, but the participation of the research center in this evolution is clearly important. But the region is not homogeneous, as you know. The difference between one countries and others is very, very important. The ranking explains very good this difference. But the evolution of the different countries is also very different. The comparative growth percentage of the MENA countries, according to Scopus, in this same period, is clearly very important. There are evident difference in the growth rates of scientific output between the countries of the MENA region. This difference is explained by three reasons: unequal starting points, different political support for science, and difference in the institutional structure of science between countries. In any case, even the lowest growth percentage in the countries of the MENA region are higher than the growth of the most scientifically developed countries. Well, how was designed the ranking? First off, we have collaborated with stakeholder very important in the world and very important in the region. We have used our experience, but we need the data provision from Elsevier and capacity building, and also the experience in the knowledge of the region by the Egyptian Ministry of Education and Scientific Research. Also, it's important experience, but we need to be open to the cooperation with the institution to improve our instruments. And this is our challenge now. The ranking measure or try to measure the research contribution to society at different levels, and the structure of indicators and factors try to approach the analysis of this contribution to the society. What is the proposal? Developing a research institution ranking, obviously, for the research centers in the Middle East and North Africa. The ranking aims to measure not only the results of research, the wide range of impact associated with the research activity is also a goal. A newly developed model for the ranking consists of a set of indicators and weightings that are tailored especially for the centers. And then we have used 3 data sources for the research that represent 40% of the overall indicators. It was Scopus. For the innovation that represent 40% of the overall indicator was PatStat from European Patent Office. And from the societal factor or societal impact that represents 20%, Plumex. Using the 3 sources, we have tried to analyze with difference, emphasize performance, productivity, openness, collaboration, technical impact, web visibility, social network, and sustainable development global contribution. In order to analyze these 3 factors and the difference, emphasize, we have generated different indicators: leadership, excellence, high quality publication, Q1, output, scientific talent pool, open access, international collaboration, and regional collaboration and industry collaboration. This is the indicators that represent the research factor. innovative knowledge, patents, and patent citation, the indicators that represent innovation, and inbound links, Altmetrics, websites, and share of papers in SDG that represent the societal factor. In order to save the time for the Q&A at the end of this event, I recommend that you can use this link to read the definitions of each indicator. The results. The rankings include centers from the different MENA countries. The number represents the number of centers selected at this moment. I emphasize the at this moment in the ranking. The geographical distribution of the center is that appear in this map, and the colors represent the type of center: research centers, funding bodies, non-governmental organization, and international organization. The distributions by ranks and countries of the center is, you can see here, from the country with most center to the country with less center. Here is represented every center. Here only the 100 center, 50 center, and 10 center. You can select a different rank of centers in the web page. The ranking also represented the collaboration among the centers of the research MENA region. This network represents the total collaboration between centers. The colors represent countries. And perhaps this representation is very interesting because reveals that perhaps the collaboration is too much country-oriented more than field-oriented. And the ranking could play an important role to increase the future collaboration more field-oriented in the future. The page that includes the indicator of each centers in the website also include two functionalities, from my view, very interesting. We have selected, using the publication vectors of the institution, more than 10,000 institutions in the world, the similar international research institution to one institution in the ranking, with a value of similarity. Probably is interested to identify possibilities of collaboration of one center with other. And in the map that appears in the slide, we can analyze the collaboration inside the regions. with the types of centers and the country where the centers collaborators appears. The research topics of the MENA centers is another issue important for the ranking, because we are comparing at this moment centers that belong to different, very, very different areas. Most of the centers have its activity in the basic science, STEM science mainly, and also in engineering, and in some cases social science. In less cases, humanities, psychology, and medicine. This map, based on the categories of the publications, represent the activities area more important in the more than 300 centers ranked. And this is the distribution between big areas, big subject areas, and countries of the more than 300 centers. Well, finally, this is the URL, the link to the ranking, and also at the bottom of the slide, the contact. From now, you can send to us your concerns or suggestions. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felix de Moya. It's really very interesting, your presentation describing this important tool. And of course, I'm going to insist in your words, and there is additional explanation about the meaning and the values of the different indicators in the methodological section of the ranking. So anybody wishing to extend his knowledge about these indicators, please visit the ranking, not only for checking the positions, but also for knowing about the methodology that was used. Now I'm going to contribute to this event because I think it's time for knowing what are the top research centers according to this edition. Of course, this is the first edition. It's not exactly draft, but it's or beta, but it's only the first edition. So there is a lot of things that can be corrected in the future. And of course, we invited all of you to contribute to the improvement of the ranking. But please, again, I'm going to follow the words of previous speakers. The idea of the ranking is not really to promote competition, and although obviously being top ranked is a good thing, but also to show you the capabilities of other institutions and the way they are open to cooperate with any of you. I'm going to show, my name is Isidro Aguirre. I am Scientific Senior Advisor of Scimago Lab, and now I'm going to show you the top 10 centers according to our ranking. I'm going to start with, obviously, the number 10, that is is the Kuwait Center for Scientific Research. This is very interesting because, as you can see in the following entries, the diversity of countries is very high. There are many countries represented in these top 10 institutions, although, of course, as you can expect, in this case is a good example, the multidisciplinary centers are going to be in the top positions, but not in every case, but there are smaller centers or centers more specialized that are achieving top positions, top ranks in our effort. For us, it's very important, this center, because it's close to the work we are doing. As CERIS, the Center and the Researchers sur l'Information Scientifique et Technique from Algeria is a center devoted to promotion and distribution of scientific information for most of the countries, not only in the region, but of the rest of the world. It's important to have access to good quality information, to be updated of the current developments. And I think it's very interesting to have one research information center involved in this, included in this top 10 list. Then number 8 is, well, it's the good representation of Qatar in this list is because the 3 centers here represented are really very closely related among them because they are initiatives from the Qatar Foundation for developing very interesting and important for the region specialized centers. The number 8 is the Qatar Environment and Energy Research Institute. And of course, this is very important for the country, as it's investing a lot on topics and fields that are really important for the economic development of the country. And of course, you can expect environment and energy are also very important topics for the region. Another example is a counterpart from Egypt. The Egyptian Petroleum Research Institute is obviously targeting a topic, a subject that is petroleum research that is very, very important in the Middle East. And you can see that there is one only of these centers represented here, 7th in the Egyptian Petroleum Research Centers. The other Qatar center I mentioned that is complementary on the same basket that the previous one is the Qatar Computing Research Institute. Of course, the future is important, new developments in computing, artificial intelligence, and other mathematical and physical related topics are really very important. Everybody knows that this is a central issue, again, not only for the region, but for the rest of the world. We are seeing here that we have topics that are clearly not only local, but also global. The energy agency, Atomic Energy Agency from Egypt is another very important topic. It's closely related to energy, but other aspect of energy production and energy distribution. And I think it's important to take into account that these developments are key for the electric and power independence of the countries. But, and this is very important because we are reaching the top position, and in the 4th slot, we have the Agricultural Research Center from Egypt. It's important to focus on the real, more close to the local needs that the previous one that is a bit global and local. Agriculture is really very important for local development. And here we have a very good sample because in our ranking it's not only the parent organization, the Agricultural Research Center in this top position, in the 4th position, but we are including also all the individual institutions belonging to the area C, because it's important considering the relative contribution of each one. So here, all of the different centers are contributing to the parent organization, and the parent organization is working as a network and is achieving this fourth rank in this classification. The third is the King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology. Again, it's a larger group of centers working together for multidisciplinary purposes. And I think it's logical to have one Saudi Arabia institutions in the top 3 of the ranking. You can expect that because of the important resources they are providing, they achieve this position. But as you can see in the next 2 institutions, it's so important also the tradition, the organization, the building networks for the country or for the region. And this is a good example in the case of Qatar Foundation, because they, as the name you can suggest, is a funding organization, but also is a research performing organization. So we have 2 important legs represented by this institution. This institution is hosting a very relevant international renowned organization, but is also a source of funding for this unit. So we have both things. We have not only the Qatar Foundation as a funding organization, but also as a very important in-house research producers. And the number 1 is, well, the number 1 is the one you can expect in other countries. In fact, you can expect the number 1 in Western Europe. It could be the national councils like a Mayan organization in Spain, or the CNRS in France, or Max Planck or Fraunhofer in Germany. Also, you can think about the Academy of Sciences in Central and Eastern Europe. And there is a long tradition of a central organization hosting different kinds of institutions, performing different roles, all related to the key aspects of the priorities of research or economic development and economic and technological development. So obviously, the first one is the National Research Center of Egypt. That is placed clearly in this tradition that in, for example, as I mentioned in Europe, we have from a lot of time. You can expect these results. Perhaps some of the people not included in this top 10 can think, oh, okay, perhaps in future editions. You need to think the ranking is including over 390 different organizations, so there is plenty of a space for all of you for improving in future editions. Congratulations to all of them, not only to these 10, and of course to the first one, but please consider the words we heard during this meeting, that is really a matter not for competition but for cooperation. And now it's time for seeing the ranking directly. This is the address. This is the address that gives you directly to the ranking. I'm going to go now. And here is the ranking. Well, the idea, our original idea, was to produce a clean interface in order you can see all the results in a very friendly way, and you can see all the information is provided. Each page is showing the 25 different institutions. I mentioned, and the total number is close to 400 institutions. Perhaps we will add more in the future. And we are providing not only the overall score, the scores for the different groups of indicators, but also, and this is as a result of our exchange with colleagues during the meetings organized mainly with our colleagues from Egypt, and not only because during the expo in Dubai, we have the opportunity to discuss these things also with colleagues from other countries. We decided, accepting the suggestion from them, to include the values of the indicators. This is not the scores, these are values, actual values for these variables. So it's pretty easy for everybody to know what are the values regarding each one of the variables. And we have 16 different variables. So we are trying, as Professor Moya described it, to identify and evaluate different aspects, not only of the traditional scholarly communication process, but also important aspects related to the technological transfer and impact and societal impact. We decided for now not include economic aspects. This is a point that should be faced in the future. But of course, it's a bit problematic because, of course, we are considering different economic systems, different funding situations. So it's not easy. But I'm going to assure you that it's one of the aims we have for the future. And you can see the data. And of course, you have access to the data for individual institutions. So if you click in one of them, we are providing a lot of information regarding the different indicators, and we intend to extend this information. But I want to focus on one point mentioned by Professor Moya, that is a similar international research institution. This is the result of an algorithm developed by us that allows us to identify institutions not only inside the ranking, but considering Seimago is producing a large ranking, the Seimago institution ranking with several thousands organization ranking, to see not only institutions close to this one, but in the region, but in the rest of the world. And you can see this data. And of course, as a friendly way to visualize these relationships, you can see also in a very graphic way using the map. This is again part of our commitment with the people who met us during these events previous to this presentation. It was a long way changing ideas with our colleagues from Scopus. I think their support was very important, but also from the rest of the people. And I want to mention especially our personal relationship with Dr. Yassir from the ministry, that was really very helpful in developing of the ranking. And finally, I'm going to show you that also we have the possibility of seeing the methodology as described previously, this extense document describing all the variables, all the indicators, and of course supported by a long list of bibliography. And if you wish to see the results in a very graphic way, I invite you to share the map, because the map is clearly showing what is the true situation reflected by the current edition of this ranking. And this is all. I think is time for a decision of questions and answers. So I think I am going to leave my role as a moderator and becoming role as part of the members of the table for answering your questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Isidro. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Congratulations for the winners and for the top ranked institutes and research centers in the MENA region. We have actually came up to the part for the question and answers, the Q&A session. So I think we have received a lot of questions during this speech, and some of them were answered during the webinar. So if anyone would like to refer to the answered, he can go into the Q&A and check the answered questions. Some of the questions are still remaining, so we are going to address all the questions. Okay, so I'm going to mention the question, and I'm going to also say whether it is directed to which of our guests here. So for the first question we have for Felix, actually for Dr. Felix de Moya, this is the first edition of the Research Centers ranking. So can you tell us more about the future of this ranking? Will it expand to other regions? Okay, so Dr. Felix, if you would like to answer that question, please.
Yes. At the moment, we haven't planned to expand the ranking to other regions, but it's a possibility. Our goal at the moment is improve the MENA ranking, interacted with the research centers, the researchers in the region, in order to extend the capabilities of the ranking for the design of policies and improve the relationship with the environment. But other regions, perhaps we will see.
Okay, so this is great, and we expect in the future that we will have more visibility on what's going to happen with other regions. Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Felix, for your answer. Okay, so the next question is directed to YS Elsevier Chairman. So, Mr. YS, please, there seems to be already a plethora of rankings. What makes this particular ranking special or different? And what are the objectives of this ranking?
Yeah, I mentioned this thing during my brief talk, but we know of a lot of ways in which research is assessed, and they tend to focus almost uniquely around universities. And the unique aspect of this Scimago ranking is that it is focused on research centers in lieu of universities. And I think that the other thing is that we launched it starting with MENA. So as Felix had said, there may be plans for other geographical regions, but for now, the focus is right here in MENA region. And I think those are two unique aspects of this. And I think that we have all the speakers have mentioned along the way in their own remarks, but ranking in itself is not meant to be a judgment. It's meant to be a mechanism with which you improve yourself, right? It is an indicator that helps you take the next step as opposed to patting yourself on the back about the past. And I think this is a key element that Scimago wanted to really put forth when they started this project.
Thank you very much, YS, for your reply. It's a very meaningful one. Okay, so the third question we have here is actually for Isidro. Okay, so it is more related to the methodology of the ranking itself. So what was the engagement of research centers? It doesn't look like you have collected data directly or from the university or from the research centers. If that is true, how do you see the engagement in the future, and how will research centers provide feedback?
Okay, well, first of all, we are really open to receive feedback from the research centers in several ways. Of course, we know several sources of data that are used in an international way. So we choose to select these sources because they are pretty international, but perhaps people from the region can provide us alternative sources. We are very interested. I mentioned during my presentation sources about economic development and economic related impact. I think the contribution by the research centers in this field can be very important. But as in the case of universities, we are a bit reluctant to accept data from the centers themselves. The main reason is because sometimes they are biased and not intentionally, because of course the different countries and the different institutions has different purposes and different situations. We have problems comparing, for example, regarding economic issues, comparing the different currencies. So it's important to take into consideration that it's not easy to accept data directly from the research centers. But of course, we are open to know what possibilities exist for that. But in the idea of the future developments, not mentioned by Felix, of course, we are going to produce this ranking periodically, at least once per year. That is a good period for making changes and accepting new proposals. And during the periods between different editions, we will be very happy to know about new institutions that not included at first, but probably because they were overlooked, or regarding mistakes. Of course, probably we were not able to identify correctly some of the outputs or some of the impacts of the institutions. So we will be very happy to know that we were wrong about that. Mm-hmm. And also, there is an idea that I think is important, because we need to have this not on a very regular basis, but on a regular situation. We are thinking of setting up an advisory board, a group of people mainly from the region, people who are already listening to us now, in order we can meet periodically to discuss the evolution of the ranking, to discuss proposals by third parties, not only assuming technical decisions, but also considering other aspects of the decisions. And we would like to have a strong advisory board in the next months for helping us for developing future editions.
This is great. Thank you very much, Isidro. So I'm going to refer to your answer about maybe including more research centers in the future. So we have actually received several questions about asking that, for example, some are asking that the research centers may not be included for this ranking, and how in the future the research center will be included. Is there something they can do about it to be included in the coming ranking?
We discussed the issue of inclusion of institutions in this ranking, and we decided to be as more inclusive as possible. And this is still our idea, because the biggest problem of other rankings, you know, the rankings of a university that Dr. Valles mentioned, they are focusing on the top 500 or the top 1,000 institutions, And I think for the region, it's important to consider the contribution, individual contribution of each one of the available research institutions. There are several clear candidates. We need to define in a better way what is a health-related institution, because perhaps we need to incorporate more health-related institutions. And also, we need to consider not every institution linked to the university, because this will be very, very confused, but perhaps we are open to include research institutes linked to the university, but being autonomous, with a high level of autonomy. So we are open to that, because I'm going to insist from the very beginning, our aim in this project was to be as more inclusive as possible.
This is very nice, and I would like also to complete this with the questions about the universities' research centers, or the research centers that are linked to universities. So currently, the research centers that are included are only the ones that are not linked to universities. So maybe I'm going to answer that question. You've already mentioned that maybe in the future we will consider the research centers that are linked to the universities, right?
Oh, yes. And this is a role for the advisory committee, because, again, I think it's not only a matter of technical decision. It's not only a matter of technical decision, because the organization of the research structures is very different according to the countries. So we need the opinion and the expertise of representatives of these countries in order to know if an institute belonging officially to a university is really so integrated to this, of the degree of autonomy is enough for being included in our ranking. But again, I think this is not a technical decision only, but a decision that should be checked with authorities from the academic authorities from the local country.
Okay, this is very nice.
Mohammed,
Yes,
could I just add a point?
Yeah.
You know, we all talk today about the importance of collaboration, right?
Yeah.
And you know, we talked about government, private sector, and academic institutions. There are more and more universities trying to attract these collaboration with non-universities. And these are going to be obviously in the minds of Isidora and Saimago. And I think that we need to figure out a way in which we don't penalize these collaboration between corporations or corporations and university, or university and government, make sure they are included in it. And I also want to make one more point, and I think I said it before, but this is not to give out medals. This is to help expand the effectiveness of research world, right? And so the more inclusive they are, as Isidora mentioned multiple times, the better our scientific community is, and therefore in turn, our society is, right? We need to discover these people. And I think that great thing that they're doing at Saimago, another great thing they're doing is that they're providing the actual data, right? The data points. So people can do their own analyses if they need to from those data as well. So, you know, would you really want to compare a small research center with 50 people with a research center that has 2,000? No, you don't want to do that. So you want to, you know, cut and slice in different ways to see, you know, where they stand and who they need to work with. And I think that that's the value of this Saimago ranking. It's more than ranking. It's about assessing and finding opportunity going forward.
Yeah, that's very nice, YS. I totally agree with you, and it's such an elite reason why should everyone be included in this. And I would like also to take this expression, it's collaborative, not competing. It's more of enhancing the effectiveness of research. Okay, so I'm going to direct another question that is related to Professor Mubarak. if you would like to answer this question, please. So, are you expecting this ranking to change the way research is conducted at research centers? How will you balance the short-term vision typically with the rankings with the long-term strategies?
Thank you, Mohammed. And I think, as our colleagues mentioned, this ranking is not meant to say who is good or who is bad. It is rather meant to stimulate a competitive spirit that should drive a stronger focus on research excellence and get the best out of the centers when it comes to its impact on the societies. So I think this is the main goal, I mean, or the main impact it can give to the centers. And actually, we are not by this ranking creating a league table that will drive gaming or short view thinking. The selected indicators which have been mentioned for this ranking it's clearly to me that it is linking to the mission and vision of the research centers. So just to summarize, I think all in all, this ranking should not be seen as should be seen as a stage where you are now, you know, in the field of scientific research at present among your colleagues in the other centers, and it drive you to be one of the best actually, or on the top of these centers regarding this ranking.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Mubarak. There's another question actually for you, Professor Mubarak. There are so many centers asking how to be included in the FASRC. If there is like any prerequisites to be included in the FASRC.
Actually, regarding the centers which are including in the FASRC, we have our plan or way of I mean listing these centers. For every country, there is a center which is directly concerned with us. For example, in Egypt, we have the Academy of Research and Innovation. We have in Saudi Arabia the Malik Abdulaziz Center, or so these are the main focuses, you know. And every I mean we ask these centers, I mean, to include in their list the centers which can be part of the federation. So we link directly for in every country where there is one focal point, and this focal point is asked to distribute our mission and our objectives to the other centers in the country, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll go back to Isidro. More questions related to the methodology also, Isidro. So, and the inclusion criteria. So there's questions, several questions. I will just summarize them in one particular question about the inclusion criteria. I understand there is no threshold, unlike other ranking initiatives. So there is several questions about the prerequisites for being included in the ranking, and there is a particular inclusion criteria that we would like to highlight.
Well, the only criteria is, as you know, we are using the Scopus database, and we are, for this edition, we are considering the period to 2016 to 2020. And the threshold is almost zero, because the only criteria we are asking is to have at least one paper published in one of the 40,000 journals covered by Scopus during this period. This is regarding the quantitative request, but from a more practical point of view, we are excluding, because it's difficult to compare with other centers, the centers that are very clinical oriented or hospital supporting. So we think that perhaps in the future we are going to include more medicine or biomedicine related institutions, but on the basis that we can clearly identify independently the part not non-clinical related. But regarding other criteria, well, perhaps people needs to know that we are including not only the parent organizations. So if you are part of the Agricultural Research Center and you are a small or medium-sized local research center about desert in the region, well, please let us know to know that you exist, and we are going to check if you are really have papers included in Scopus. Our idea is to be, as I mentioned before, as more inclusive as possible.
Okay, so I will take this chance to encourage everyone to visit their profiles on Scopus and check how their institution profile is complete and is reflecting a true performance of the research, and all the papers are included in the profiles, and this will definitely add value in the ranking. So also completing discussion about the criteria or the prerequisites or the inclusion criteria. There is a question actually from the Minister of Mauritania, and I would like to welcome him, and it's an honor to have you with us here in this webinar about the inclusion of Mauritania as a country in the research centers ranking.
Well, in some cases, obviously the representation is below as expected, but because the scientific activity is still in being developed. In this case, you need to consider that both Elsevier and Saimago, we are ready to offer support in the form of webinars or some kind of workshops in order to show the people from these countries how to better represented in international journals, how to produce better results, how to increase impact. There are a lot of experience in both cases about these topics, and we offer our capabilities in this case, and we will very glad, very honored to talk with our Mauritanian colleagues in order in the short term even to improve their position in the ranking.
Okay, so Mauritania, to answer that question, Mauritania is actually included.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
We are including 22 different countries that are not only MENA countries, but because we are including also Djibouti, Somalia, and Comoros, because of course at the end they are part of the cultural and societal, even political area. So there are 19 different countries from both North Africa and Middle East, plus these three ones from south of more Central Africa. Mauritania is included.
Okay. So there is also another question actually about, we hope we have been able to answer the questions, most of the questions in written as they were asked during the webinar, but we are trying to collect the questions that were asked by several audience and just cover them now. So there is a question related also to the methodology about how is the leadership rate calculated in the methodology of the ranking?
Well, this is a topic that is a subject of debate several times, because I think there is a basic misunderstanding. Because although the formal definition regard to the main author, the so-called corresponding author, in fact, in our work, this is not done at the individual level, but at the institutional level. So usually we are identify the author that is leading the paper of the contribution, but giving the credit to the institution to which author is affiliated. So sometimes people say, okay, perhaps the corresponding author is a junior author, or is only one of the several main contributors. But in this case, this is a choose that is done not at the personal level, but at the institutional level. And we check, and we have papers regarding this issue, where the success ratio of this approach is pretty high, very high.
Okay, perfect. So there is also a question about having the methodology adapted as per the customer's feedback. So there is a question asking if that some of the institute included in the ranking are funding research institution or foundations that also conduct research as well, produce research, and there's other scientific information alongside with thematic research institutions. So is there like a place that any institute included can just raise their feedback? It would be really beneficial to also let the audience know how can they share their feedback on how to improve this ranking.
Well, at the end of the presentation by Dr. Moya, there is a link to the ranking, and there is also a mention of the email account. There is also personal email accounts to both of us, but also for the Seimago group. And you can contact with us. We are really very happy to know about the opinion from others regarding not only this ranking, but other products we are developing. And for us, it's very important. So please feel free to contact us, not only during this meeting with the Q&A option, but also in the future. We have also several social networks. You can contact us, or you can follow us in several social networks. So there is plenty of options for contact in the future.
Okay. There is another question actually related to the size of the institute. So there is a question about some institute may, as also YS mentioned, it's not likely that an institute have 50 faculty member or 50 researcher to compete with another institute that has maybe 1,000 of a researcher. So how is that considered in the ranking?
Well, the primary aim of this edition is to be as more inclusive as possible. To include all of them means that we are not going to, as mentioned before, we are not going to establish any threshold, and everybody is going to be included. This is the first point. The second point is clearly, as it has been mentioned before by several of the speakers, the main objective is not making a ranking, but promote the cooperation and the development among the different partners. I want to mention, because probably several of you missed this new development we made in this ranking, that is similar institutions. And we did this in a very visual way, because for us, this is the key point. Even if you are small, or you have no enough funding, or you have no enough experience because you are a younger institution, we are going to provide you similar institutions which are candidates for cooperating with them. So at the end, please, I thank this question. I understand the reasons behind this question, but please, these small organizations, these institutes with a lower level of resources, please consider to increase with cooperation with others in order to promote in the ranking, but not being being larger or being bigger, but being bigger in your local community, in your country, in your discipline, in your topics. Of course, we are going to consider developments for taking into account size. Size is important, but please, left describing and modeling, preparing a model for the size in our hands, and please focus you on developing your own institutions and also to develop networks of cooperations with people from your country and of the region, or even out of the region. We are especially interested in this because we are adding this. This is new, really new. This new section identifying the organizations that are related, similar to UR.
This is very inspiring, and by this I would like to actually conclude this today's session webinar. It was very insightful, and congratulations for all the winners. I hope we have answered all the questions. If there's any further questions remaining, or anyone has any question in his mind that he didn't ask, please feel free to reach out to Isidro and Felix de Moya. Saimago has been very active in many initiatives and many ranking initiatives, and they are global ranking organization. They are experienced in the ranking, and this is why they are conducting this research centers ranking in the MENA region. We hope this motivate all the research centers to be more efficient in the research and to give more focus on enhancing the research strategies to cope, even to compete and to collaborate in a better way with other research centers in the global. I would like to have a special thanks for the Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, His Excellency Khaled Abou Ghaffar, for always being supportive and motivating initiatives that can enhance the research performance in all the institutes in the MENA region. I would like also to thank Dr. Yasser Abdel Fattah, who was always included in the tactics of preparing, and I would like to also definitely thank Madame Ola Lawrence, who were helping in circulating the invitation to everyone, and I would like definitely to acknowledge the impact of the Egyptian Knowledge Bank for having all this and synergistic team that's been working on this initiative. I would like also to thank YS for being here as well. I understand there's a huge time difference of having you with us. It's such a pleasure for you to join us, and by this actually I would conclude the session, and I would like also to leave a last word speech for any of the speakers, if he would like to give any final closing remarks.
Right, is it possible to give a quick comment? Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay, just let me
yeah.
Let me share give you the permission to even share your video if you want.
No video, but I just
okay.
I just say one comment to all colleagues who really attended the meeting and the launch of the first ranking. It's now, guys, the time to go check ranking results. So we need now to go for the website and check where we are and to contribute positively with opinion for the improvement of the rank for the next year, and also to start thinking as the directors of research centers in changing the perception of researchers to improve the quality and increase the quantity of the papers and of the innovative products, and also for researchers to start thinking to solve problems of the community, because this is really the main goal and objective of research centers. Thank you for you all.
Thank you, Dr. Yasser Abdel Fattah, Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Egypt. So YS, please feel free if you would like to add any closing remarks about today.
Not much, except that I want to thank Smimago for doing this thing. It's a bold move, and I think we're looking forward to the continual improvement from this. For the participants, I ask that you come back and tell us at Elsevier and at Smimago, how have you used this ranking 6 months from now? Come back to us and tell us, how did it help you? We'd like to hear from you about how this really made a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, YS. Dr. Mubarak, if there is any closing remarks you would like to add? Any final comment? Okay, Felix, if there is any, oh, Dr. Mubarak here. Okay, please.
Yeah, I'm just saying thank you, Muhammad. I think this event, you know, we are very thankful for all who contribute to it, and this will definitely raise the spirit of competition between Arab centers, inshallah. And I just really thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mubarak. And Dr. Felix, if there is also final remarks you would like to add, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting to us to follow up with this project and others. Now we have received the first message with concern and suggestion to the contact email. We answer immediately every message that arrives with these suggestions, and we hope we can, with the community collaboration, improve this tool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Felix. And by this, we have already reached the end of this webinar. Any final remarks, Isidro? I see you have unmuted yourself. If there's anything you would like to add.
Oh, sorry. I think the thanks by Dr. Moya is enough from our part. But I want to say that today it was our turn to talk. Now it's your turn, and I am referring to the most of 200 different people who attended this meeting. It's your turn to speak about these initiatives. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Isidro. We will definitely hear the feedbacks. I'm sure this will be reflected on the communication afterward, and I hope everyone goes to the website, as Dr. Yasser have already mentioned. I'm not sure if of His Excellency Professor Khaled Abou Ghaffar is still here or not, but okay. So by this, I will finish my webinar, and I would like to thank everyone for attending here. The recording, I've seen so many questions about the recording. We will try to communicate the recorded webinar with all the registered or the attended attendee. I would like also to finally thank the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Khaled Abou Ghaffar, for also supporting this kind of initiatives. And by this, I will conclude. Thank you very much for joining today, and enjoy the rest of your days. Have a great time. Bye-bye.